Hi and welcome to One Week at a Time. My name's Brett Burden. This week I was really fortunate to be able to facilitate to a group of people a particular topic. We were asked to talk on many different topics, but I chose one called Rapport, and not necessarily because I feel I'm an expert at building rapport, but because it's something I'm really interested in and have studied over many years. But also I wanted to hear what other people had to say about it. So I guess the thing about rapport and how to build rapport, if you want to break it down to what it actually is, of course it's about building trust. It's about knocking down the differences between the person you're building rapport with, and or in the other way of looking at it is increasing the similarities, because we all like we all like our own behaviour. So if we can knock down some of those differences between us, then people are more likely to like us. The great thing about rapport is that you can learn it. You can learn how to build great rapport. Over the years, I've seen people who just seem to be born with it. You know, they're just able to build this similarity with people really easily, and then other people have to work at it. But as I say, the great thing about that is that it can be built upon, and therefore it can be learned, even if you're not great at it right now. You just need to do some study on that. So one of the things that we were talking about during the roundtable session was how, you know, the thing about rapport, there is two levels. There's the conscious level and the unconscious level. The conscious level are things like, you know, dressing similar, for example. Talking about the same sorts of things, using the same terms, if you know what I mean. So jargon, for example. So that's a very conscious way of building rapport. Walking into a room, seeing a photo on the wall of something that they're interested in, and then relating your stories about that something. You know, so if it's a photo of the wall of maybe one of their children playing basketball, for example, you might want to talk about how your son or daughter plays basketball and what team and league. And you know, it's a very conscious level of rapport building. What I want to talk to you about now is just the unconscious level, because that, if you can get the unconscious level rapport built, then you know there's no stopping you. And that is all about matching and mirroring. There's a few different things that you can do, and I don't know if you've heard that terminology before. Certainly if you're involved in sales, I assume you probably would have. If you are in sales and you haven't heard of that term, or you haven't had formal training in sales, then I would suggest that you start looking into matching and mirroring and rapport building. And another thing called tonality. So let me just talk about matching and mirroring, for example. That's all about looking at how the other person is behaving, sitting, their posture and so on, and trying to, without mimicking the posture, because if you mimic, it becomes quite obvious and your cover is blown and it looks like you're fake or false, and those people will find it very difficult to trust you in the future. So you don't want to go mimicking people, but it is about being conscious of the fact of how they are sitting and mimicking that to a degree, you know, without being too close. So if they sit back, you sit back. If you sit forward, if they sit forward and put their head on their hands or something along those lines, you may not want to do that exactly, but if they are sitting forward, sit forward, and but don't put your hands on, you know, rest your head on your hands. But it's about looking at how their posture is and doing things similar to the way that they're doing it. Also, the way they talk, the tone, loud, quiet, fast, slow. If you can also match the speed at which they're talking. And one of the things that's really important that you should be thinking about is disc profiling. You know, we talk about psychometric profiling. That goes along with this whole rapport building thing. If you understand disc, it's much easier to build rapport with people. But one of the things about psychometric profiling, and one thing we know here in Australia is around about 70% of the Australian population are high S's, very steady type people. And the thing about the high S is that they normally are quieter, and they tend to talk a little bit slower. So, you know, if 2/3 of the people who are going to be walking into your office are high S's, then you've got a really good head start. You just need to start communicating at that level, tonality down, not so quick, and then they start building rapport quicker. So there's a few little hints. There's a lot more to this subject that I can possibly tell you in these few minutes I've got. But those you should start looking at. Those are the things you should start looking at: matching and mirroring, and tonality and pacing, it's called. Breathing, so the way people breathe. If you can bring your breathing down to match theirs, is another unconscious, subliminal way of being able to take away those differences. So I hope this has made some sense. During the process, when we were sitting down facilitating this meeting, I thought it was really interesting because I stopped halfway through. It was about a 15-minute presentation. I stopped probably about 10 minutes into that, and I said, everyone freeze. And it was really interesting because everyone around that table at the time, we were all sitting in exactly the same position, or extremely close anyway. But we're all sitting forward like this, and we were all sitting there nodding. So it was a really interesting, proof of how rapport how you can utilise it to gain people's trust. Hope that's helped. Please go and check. Your homework this week is to go and check out subjects on rapport and start understanding how it all works. Because if you can build trust with people, then it's going to be a lot easier. And it's not about, I want you to use rapport building for good, not for evil. It's not about trying to get people to do things that they don't want to do necessarily. It's about gaining that trust level and then being able to communicate the things that you're needing to communicate. So I hope that's helped. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.